How Vytautas the Great and European knights attacked Vilnius. Memory can sometimes be a funny thing. Sometimes, for example, memory permits us to apply the name saint to someone who deliberately killed or destroyed. We might find tens of such examples on the list of Christian leaders alone. The name Great, meanwhile, has been given to opportunists who joined their enemies to wage war against their own homelands. Take, for example, Grand Duke Vytautas. Yes, the very same, Vytautas the Great. Don't be offended, dear patriots. Historical documents show that Vytautas joined the German Teutonic Order and English knights in their siege of Vilnius, burned the so-called Krevoje, or Crooked Castle, and murdered the duke who'd been defending it, KRASAUSKAS, his own cousin. Perhaps we shouldn't be so surprised. After all, there have been more horrible episodes in the struggle for power, and, generally speaking, no one was particularly concerned that the campaign against Lithuania was illegitimate from the start. After all, the Pope had called for a war against pagans, and Lithuania had already been converted to Christianity 3 years before. And Vytautas had already been baptized, not once, but 3 times. But there's a reason people say, if you want to hit someone, you'll find a stick. And they wanted to fight, but for different reasons. Vytautas sought to become ruler of Lithuania. The German and English knights, meanwhile, wanted to plunder and take prisoners. In the context of the Middle Ages, the combined army of attackers was truly impressive. Several hundred knights and several more thousands of archers and infantry. The campaign was joined by many honourable men, including the Marshal of the Teutonic Order, the Livonian Grand Master, and the Earl of Derby, Henry Bolingbroke, the future King Henry IV of England, who Shakespeare wrote about in one of his plays. As they neared Vilnius, Henry and the other knights built 2 bridges over the Neris River and surrounded the city, or to be precise, 3 of the city's castles, since Vilnius's defensive wall would only be constructed a good century later. The attackers besieged Vilnius for 33 days and withdrew in early October, eager to return home before the start of the autumn rains. English chroniclers praised Henry and his soldiers, claiming that they had been the first to storm Crooked Castle and raise Henry's flag above its walls. One Englishman supposedly even received a prize purse for the effort. Nice. According to Polish sources, KRASAUSKAS' head was taken by the knights since he was an ardent enemy of Christianity. The Germans said that KRASAUSKAS was killed because no one recognized him. It would have been more profitable, after all, to capture and trade him for imprisoned knights, or, even better, for gold. This was a normal thing in the Middle Ages. Ransoms for the most renowned leaders sometimes exceeded a country's annual income. Later, Polish and Lithuanian historians credit Vytautas with the most important achievements. It was he who took Crooked Castle, and it was he, according to Maciej Strykowski, who commanded the beheading of his cousin KRASAUSKAS and the display of his head on a spike. Strykowski's colleague, Albert Wiuk-Kojalewicz, added, "Fraternal discord is always extremely brutal." 2 years later, Vytautas would become ruler of Lithuania, and once everyone had forgotten about his march against Vilnius, he'd come to be known as Great.